Nice That You Looking At, Safe and Sound, is a song by the American singer-songwriter Taylor Swift featuring the American musical duo The Civil Wars, taken from the soundtrack of The Hunger Games, 2012. Swift and The Civil Wars wrote the track with its producer T-Bone Burnett. The track is an indie folk ballad with a spare arrangement evoking Americana, alternative country, and Appalachian music. The lyrics are about the Hunger Games protagonist Katniss Everdeen's empathy and compassion for other characters, even as she fights to survive in the eponymous games. Swift sings lead vocals in a fragile, high-pitched tone, while the Civil Wars provide vocal harmonies. Big Machine Records released Safe and Sound for download via the iTunes Store on December 26, 2011. A music video for Safe and Sound, directed by Philip Andelman and filmed in Watertown, Tennessee, was released on February 13, 2012. Music critics described the production as haunting and eerie and generally praised the songwriting. Safe and Sound won Best Song Written for Visual Media at the 55th Annual Grammy Awards in 2013. The song charted in the top 40 and received multi-platinum certifications in Australia and the United States. Following the 2019 dispute over the ownership of Swift's back catalogue, she re-recorded Safe and Sound and released it as Safe and Sound, Taylor's version, on March 17, 2023, via Republic Records. T-Bone Burnett produced The Hunger Games. Songs from District 12 and Beyond, the soundtrack to the 2012 film The Hunger Games. He recruited other artists to write and record songs for the soundtrack, including Taylor Swift and the folk duo The Civil Wars, consisting of the members Joy Williams and John Paul White, after playing a Los Angeles concert in fall 2011. The Civil Wars were invited to Burnett's house. There, they and Swift together wrote Safe and Sound during a 2-hour session. Swift had spent 2 days reading the book to understand the story. The song is told from Katniss Everdeen's perspective. For Swift, who had mostly written autobiographical songs inspired by her personal life, writing from a fictional character's viewpoint was refreshing. The Civil War's Joy Williams described working with Burnett as an amazingly soulful, organic, productive time, and said they were honored to create the song with him and Swift. On December 26, 2011, Big Machine Records released Safe and Sound onto the iTunes Store. Philip Andelman directed the music video for Safe and Sound, which premiered on MTV on February 13, 2012. Parts of the music video were shot in a cemetery, including a scene of Swift sitting atop the graves of a couple who died in 1853. The video features Swift walking barefoot through a forest in Watertown, Tennessee, wearing a long white gown. Between scenes, the Civil Wars are seen inside a cottage house sitting in front of a fireplace as they sing along to the song. It contains multiple references to the Hunger Games, including Swift finding a Mockingjay pin. Lionsgate, the producer of The Hunger Games, and Burnett wanted to create music that evoked what Appalachian music would sound like in 300 years. To this end, Safe and Sound features a spare, folk-inspired production, congruent with the story's setting in the Appalachian region. Billboard described it as a folk ballad. The Boot said that it veered towards folk and Americana. NME's Hannah Milrea and American songwriters Savannah D'Antona characterized it as indie folk, and Rolling Stone's Monica Herrera found the production reminiscent of alternative country and American songwriter Evan Schlansky described the track as relying on a swelling melody and built around an escalating run of notes. Swift described Burnett's production as a lullaby, while critics deemed it melancholy, eerie, or haunting. Safe and Sound features Swift on lead vocals, singing with a high-pitched vibrato, and The Civil Wars on vocal harmonies. The production is driven by acoustic and pedal steel guitars. The Star Ledger's Tris McCall described the acoustic guitar sound as so brittle that it may as well be a banjo. In hindsight, critics commented that the song's folksy production laid the groundwork for the sound of Swift's 2020 albums, Folklore and Evermore. The lyrics, according to Swift, are about Katniss' empathy and compassion for other characters in different parts of the story. She said of the novel, "I thought it would be an action-adventure type of thing. But it's so much more emotional than that. There's a huge amount of sadness." According to the film's marketing executive, Safe and Sound evokes the moment when Katniss realizes her ally and friend Rue has been killed. The narrator tells her loved ones to hide away as the war outside our door keeps raging on. She grows protective of her loved ones, entreating them to hold on to this lullaby even when the music's gone. Christopher John Farley from the Wall Street Journal described the lyrics as soothing, despite the song's hurtful and dreadful undertone. "Just close your eyes. The sun is going down. You'll be all right. No one can hurt you now." Slant magazine's Jonathan Keefe suggested though the narrator sings promises of a better tomorrow. The dropping of the instruments in the hook gives the impression that the narrator does not believe it herself. Upon release, Safe and Sound received positive reviews from critics. AllMusic's Heather Phares considered it the most crucial track on the Hunger Games soundtrack. Jody Rosen from Rolling Stone gave the song 4 out of 5 stars, calling it Swift's prettiest ballad, and writing that it suggested a novelty in Swift's artistry. This idea was echoed by Jason Lipschutz from Billboard, who called the song a non-Swiftian anthem that embraces the folksiness of the soundtrack, and McCall, who opined that her music is getting riskier. Entertainment Weekly's Darren Franick and Spin's Mark Hogan wrote that Safe and Sound was a departure from the usual romantic pop songs in Swift's catalog. Franick lauded Swift and the Civil Wars for evoking an atmosphere that suggested the Hunger Games movie to be as tough and heartfelt as the books. Hogan wrote that despite his initial disappointment due to the lack of Swift's usual pop immediacy and clarion songwriting voice, the track turned out to be satisfying later on and contained Swift's terrifically gorgeous vocals. Reviewing the soundtrack for Slant magazine, Jonathan Keefe praised Burnett's production for bringing a real sense of gravity. Retrospective reviews of Safe and Sound have remained generally positive. In a 2020 review, Idolator's Mike Wass lauded the sparse production, Swift's breathy vocals, and the menacing lyrics are a testament to her songwriting versatility. Wass said that the track should have been bigger commercially. In June 2022, Insider ranked Safe and Sound as Swift's best soundtrack song. Vulture's Nate Jones hailed the song as Swift's best soundtrack cut by a country mile, and lauded her vibrato vocals that were outside her usual singing range. Rob Sheffield of Rolling Stone agreed. She explores crevices in her voice she'd never opened up before. NME's Hannah Milrea described the track as pretty and enthralling, and the staff of Billboard selected it among the 100 best songs by Swift, writing, "the best of her several early tens soundtrack contributions." It showed that Swift's musical reach was expanding as quickly as her songwriting maturity. Savannah D'Antona of American Songwriter deemed Safe and Sound the second best collaboration of Swift, behind Me, 2019, and opined that the track immortalized the film in a beautiful, Americana-infused ballad. Swift and the Civil Wars performed Safe and Sound live for the first time at a Nashville concert in January 2012. John Paul White played the guitar, over which Swift and Joy Williams sang their parts. During the Australasian leg of the Speak Now World Tour in March 2012, Swift added "Safe and Sound" to the tour's setlist. Performing it solo, Swift sang the track while sitting on a couch on stage, wearing a sparkling, floor-length gown, which, according to Brittany Cooper of Taste of Country, was similar to the style of Belle from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, 1991. Cooper was favorable towards the performance, writing, "Took the song with a whimsical air and gave it all the mystique you would expect from the haunting ballad." The New Zealand Herald's Duncan Grieve, meanwhile, thought that the likes of "Safe and Sound" and "Dear John" were the concert's weakest moments due to their maudlin balladry. During the Red Tour in May 2013, Swift performed "Safe and Sound" at the concerts in Philadelphia and Austin. In November 2023, at the second São Paulo concert as part of her Eras tour, Swift performed "Safe and Sound" on guitar as a surprise song, outside the regular set list. This is the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.